Hey everyone, it's Andrew. So this is going to be a video doing a 1.5 year review on the Brewista Artisan Stovetop Kettle. I got this for Christmas about 1.5 years ago, and this is my go-to kettle that I use for pour over, French press, just boiling water for tea. And I absolutely love this kettle. It's held up like a champ over the past 1.5 years with all the use that I get out of it. And so I wanted to do a review on this just because I highly recommend it to those of you that are looking for a pour over kettle. And this is a great option that's available on Amazon right now for like, I think it's like $60, $70. But what we'll do in this video is essentially I'm going to do a close-up, show you what the kettle looks like after 1.5 years of use. We'll boil some water to give you an idea of how it performs from that aspect, and then I'll do some pour over coffee just to show you its functionality as far as its pour over mechanism. But we'll get started. Okay, so this is the Brewista Artisan Stovetop Kettle. It's something available on Amazon for about like $60 to $70 depending on where you purchase it from there. This is obviously the gold design with this like wood top as well as wood handle here. It is a pour over kettle, so you have the gooseneck kettle edge here with a tapered tip, so it pours out pretty easily without kind of splashing or anything like that. On the front here, it shows the Brewista label right there, and then on the back here, similarly, they have the Brewista label there. I believe this is a 600 milliliter capacity. They do make larger ones, but this is the 600 milliliter one. And then on the top here, this has this pop-off top. If you look inside, there are essentially there's tabs here that when you first purchase it, they kind of recommend you can kind of flare these in or out depending on how it sits. And so depending on your how well you want it to sit in here, you can flare these out so it sits like a little bit more flush or clicks in more. But the top has 3 holes here for steam outlet, okay? And then in the inside, this is what it looks like after 1.5 years of use. Essentially, it's brand new. It's hard to tell on the camera just based on the angle, but there's no stains, no water damage, no rust, nothing like that. And then on the bottom here, if you look at it, there's like some marking from like stovetop burning underneath it from probably stuff that was on the stove, but it looks practically brand new, no rust, no damage or anything like that after 1.5 years of use. So I absolutely love this kettle. What we'll do now is just throw it on the stove. We'll boil some water to give you an idea of how quick it boils or something, and then we'll do some pour over coffee. Okay, so what I did just now is I filled this up with 4 cups of coffee. So if you look in here, that's kind of the level it would be for 4 cups. You probably can't get too much more out of this without having it boil over when you're heating it up. But that's 4 cups. What we'll do is we'll just throw this on here and turn the stove top to high and let this run and boil. What I've learned is, at least with the, oops, sorry, I'm on the wrong one. At least with this kettle, what I find is when I heat this up, I let it boil and then I wait about 2 minutes to let it cool off, and that gets it consistently to about 205 to 207 degrees, which is good for brewing like coffee, for pour over coffee. So that's what I'd recommend is when you first get this kettle, essentially throw it on, boil the water, and then throw a thermometer into here and let it just kind of like have the heat dissipate and see when it gets to the temperature you want. And so then when you do pour over coffee or something like that, you can just set a timer, let it sit for a little bit, and you know you'll get a consistent temperature every single time. So for now, what we'll do is we'll just let this boil. I'll let it sit here just so you get an idea. I'll time this to tell you how long it takes to boil 4 cups of water. And then what we'll do is make some pour over coffee. Okay, so sorry for taking that so long, but I sped it up. So the water's boiling now. On my stopwatch, I started it right after I kind of left the screen, but it's, if you see it there, it took about 7 minutes and 20 seconds for it to boil. Now what we'll do is kind of let this sit for about 2 minutes, and then we'll make some coffee with it. Let me get this filter kind of good to go. So with the kettle, this is a Gooseneck kettle, you'll essentially just pour over the middle in circular motions. And I'll kind of move this closer until all the grinds are soaked or wet. And it might take a little while. But there you go. So all the grinds are soaked or wet. Now you'll wait about 30 seconds. The purpose of this is essentially it allows the grinds to kind of activate and steep, and it allows it to release the CO2 that's built into it so that you don't have impurity within the coffee grind. I'm going to move the camera up now so you can see a little bit better. Okay. And so that's kind of what it looks like. Got a couple more seconds, but it'll run through like that. And then what you'll do is now you'll just take the rest of the water and just do circular motions, pouring it just gently, not too fast a pace. And you'll start in the middle and just go kind of outward, counterclockwise or clockwise, whichever direction you choose, and try to avoid pouring directly onto the filter. So once you get to the edge like that, I go kind of like counterclockwise now. And I just pour it slowly. This is like a skill you have to just pick up over time as you like do this. What I found previously was I would like pour it too fast, like let it run or sit in this, and then I'd kind of like come back and pour more. But I found now what I tend to do is just pour it slower and let it kind of drain at the same rate as which I'm pouring it, so you don't have as much buildup of water. So it's more of like a continuous pour rather than just pouring it in and then kind of letting it sit and then drain. Well, you'll kind of just do this. I might speed this along in the video just because you don't really necessarily need to watch me do this real time at least. And if you pour too much like I'm doing right now, I got kind of distracted, you can either just slow down or you just stop and let it drain a little bit. Like right now I'm just going to let it stop and then let it drain. So I'll speed this up in the video just to speed things along. And then when you see it start kind of dropping down, what I tend to do is I pour just along the edge to get these grinds back in the middle, and then I'll keep on pouring the rest of the water. So you have a lot of control with the Brewista kettle. It's very nice. You can kind of like, you can drip it, like literally drop by drop if you really wanted to, versus you can pour it faster depending on what you're using this for. And so that's pretty much all the water. I'm not going to pour it all in, but that's pretty much to the edge there. And there's no more water in the kettle, so now we'll let this run all the way through. I'll just show you kind of underneath what it looks like as this is doing its thing. So it's essentially just collecting at the bottom reservoir here, and then you have the rest of the coffee there. So it'll run all the way through, and we'll speed this along just to save some time. Okay, so as you can tell, all the water pretty much has gone through this at this point. What you'll do is take off the screen and the filter and kind of just set it aside somewhere, or you could just, I typically just throw it right into a compost container, and you'll get rid of that. And then the Bodum coffee maker comes with this little plunger. You'll put that, and that allows the steam to be kind of like, prevents the steam from coming out the top, which it minimizes heat loss, and your coffee is good to go. So that's about 4 cups made with 6 scoops of coffee, and all you have to do is just pour it into a cup and you're good to go. So I highly recommend the Bodum pour over coffee maker if you're interested in it. And additionally, I do recommend the Brewista kettle. It's a great kettle for pour over coffee for good control, and it's clearly lasted for a while. So thanks for watching. If you have any questions or comments, please post them below. I'll put a link to all these different products in this video if you're interested in purchasing it. I am an affiliate with Amazon, so any of those purchases do come back to me and help support my channel. So thanks for watching, and please subscribe.